What's good, listeners? Joining us live on Strike a Chord is North Carolina punk rock trio Distortions on the Chris College Show, Millennial Talk Show. Also, check out my brand new episode of Off the Fret, More Music Talk, featuring Nashville country star Amanda Cooksey, out now on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget to hit the notification bell and like and subscribe so you never miss a live show. So let's bring on the Motley Crue himself, Dan Mitri. He's the vocalist and guitarist of the group. So, Dan, how's it going, my man?
Oh, it's great to have. Thanks for having me back. This double feature has been awesome.
Dude,
I know.
This double
I feel
whammy
like
party
it's a
is so much fun.
deja vu.
Yeah.
Well, that just shows how talented you are on all scopes of entertainment. And I know that Distortions formed in the spring of 2021. And what brought all you guys together as a band?
Punk rock is very dear to my heart. And the punk rock community and the ethos that surrounds it is also something that I adopted, I subscribe to. It's a community that's built on lifting each other up, weeding out the negativity, and letting us live the way we want to live our lives through a celebration of diversity, inclusivity, and being compassionate with each other. And that is my motivation. And there just so happens to be a vehicle to get there and to live that every day, and that's through music. And I've always had this deep connection to just incredible riffs, that guitar sound that just makes you want to pick up a guitar and just like strum out a chord and speak your mind and express yourself in a musical way. And Distortions was born from that. It's a very passionate project. We talk about a lot of different themes, but we deliver it in a way that gets you moving. We go to these shows and we have our friends and fans come out, and these are just times when we need to connect with each other. We need to have that human relationship, and we have this communal energy in the air, and it's the spirit that we feed off of each other. That's what Distortions is doing. It's a community effect.
Yeah, and you guys glue together so well, and I know you partnered up with bassist Nick Jones, who's a former bassist for Bear vs. Shark in Bars of Gold, along with your drummer Andrew Winter, who was a former drummer for Blitzkid and Reckless Dodger. So how did you guys first meet each other?
Well, I came out here to North Carolina and I said, all right, what's the punk scene look like here? Is there an opportunity to start bringing...
Yeah, is there a punk rock scene in North Carolina?
There definitely is.
Wow, there is. It is thriving, Chris. Marissa, you got to come out here.
I know,
Were you surprised?
I got to.
Were you surprised when you showed up to North Carolina that there was a punk rock scene? Were you generally concerned at first?
Yes, initially because of some of the politics here in the state. You know, here in Raleigh, we're in a blue bubble, you know, and we have a lot of progressive thinking. Obviously, progressive left sort of thinking is synonymous with punk rock. And I came here, I'm like, oh, wow, this is incredible. There's a lot of LGBTQ movements here, a lot of advocates. We're helping each other on a daily basis with people, whether we're, you know, afflicted with addiction or having issues and challenges at home. We're here for each other. And I'm starting to sense that. And all the bands here are really in support of each other. We're not cutting each other down and talking shit to get ahead. We know that
it's not LA. Because LA, I'm telling you, man, like people don't even go support their friends. They're like, nah, I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to see you, but I'll go pay $75.
Marissa, there was a tornado watch this week in LA. I think I'm good staying at home.
A one-day tornado.
But, like, do you remember like the initial spark, Dan, that like made you want to start creating music again?
Again, well, I've always had some sort of capacity of creating music, but yes, it was the summer of 2021, and I needed to get some internal turmoil out. And I knew that a lot of other people are feeling the same way. And if I can express that through a guitar chord, through a line, through working with Nick Jones on bass, or the phenomenal rhythm section that Andrew Winter brings in, us three are also working on some of our own stuff. And we're bringing that out through the music of Distortions. And you can hear it on the record. You can hear the deep emotion and passion behind it. But it's not until you see us live and you get to experience that in motion when you really like, wow, this it clicks. It makes sense.
Oh, I'm totally with you on that one, man. I love a good sounding rock and roll band.
Live music. Nothing beats live music.
Nope.
Oh, yeah, it's so true. And I know Distortions introduced their debut EP, Flies, in the winter of 2022 with a breed of contagious riffs and badass artwork. created by you, Dan Mitri, which I think is super badass. And you guys explore dark themes, addressing the dichotomies of helplessness and hope. And has your perspective on existence changed over time when you guys created this record?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, it's even more grounded. This is the path that we're going with Distortions, and that is addressing some very deep, strong, and foundational sort of things that we think about and deal with in our daily lives. So, exclusive to the show, the meanings behind a couple of our songs, it came for us is a song about battling depression and the demons that cover us on a daily basis, that just lash at our chest. But there's hope at the end of the day, that we can persevere and we can endure, and that there is a reason to continue forward.
I don't mean to keep cutting you off, because you kind of made me think of this as you were talking. Can you describe a time where you felt helpless but found hope?
Yes, absolutely. I want to say over the past 3 months, I've lost a lot of good friends to cancer, to suicide. I've left a lot of other things have been happening, and there's a deep, dark, crippling depression that happens at the center of your soul, and the people around that are affected by that. And you miss these people, and those are the demons that scratch at me and get me to question my own existence and my own happiness. But it's also what fuels me, because I don't know if tomorrow's promised. So I'm going to go do everything that I can. And every single time I get in front of that mic and get my guitar on, it's like the first time I've ever done it.
Yeah, and so, for like our listeners that do battle with depression or currently battling it, what advice do you have for that they can do to try to beat that demon? I mean, we know pick up music, listen to it, but like, what else are you doing specifically when you're unable to pick up that guitar or jump on stage to get you through that day to day?
For me, it's self-compassion, knowing that, hey, dude, we all feel this. We're all going through this stuff, and give myself a little more leeway. Like, it's okay to feel this way. You can't always be Superman. You can't always be chipper the rest of the way the world wants you to be, especially if you're in a demanding job. You got to be cheery and stuff. No, that's not being human. We feel happiness just as much as we feel sad, and we need the balance between the two, because it gives significance to both. So giving yourself that self-compassion and then pouring out to the people that love you. Don't be afraid to do that. That's why people are here for us.
Community.
I love that message.
Community peeps, 100,000%. It saved me.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I know, Dan, Distortion and its label, Bored to Death Record, are independently run by band members, and it was created essentially with you and more cats in the scene. Am I correct on saying that?
Yes, correct. Yeah. So we released Flies, our EP, through Bored to Death Records, and it's also owned and operated by myself. And Bored to Death Records is that conduit. So the bands are the vehicle here, and Bored to Death is collecting the bands that have that same mentality, that want to contribute to the punk rock community and give more than we take. And so what I'm trying to do with Bored to Death is establish a little bit more, one step at a time, that community that we need to help to battle with our own afflictions. And there's a certain quality to it too. We're pure DIY. We get to call the shots the way we want to. And that's the way I want my artists to feel too, that you're not going to be pressured to push sales on an album or pack out a show. That's what DIY punk is all about. It's the feeling, it's the journey along the way.
That's
because I'm starting to notice a trend heavily where it seems like a lot of veteran artists are now starting to create their own independent record labels or releasing music on their own. And why is it that, young groups are still sticking with established labels compared to branching out and doing their own thing? What are you seeing that's evolving now in the year 2023?
Well, there's a lot of support and services that a traditional label would provide that a lot of people don't have access to. First of all, it costs a lot of money to properly record and mix and master a song. You may not have that capital. It costs a lot of money to promote and market your shows and your album and who you are, and build your social channels. And you may not have the capital for that, or the support, or the knowledge to do it. And that's where a good label comes in and provides that. Now, if you're on a major label, you've got a lot more stressors. You're signing a pretty big contract. You've got making a lot of commitments. And at that point, you've got a pretty good product, your music, that has some sort of backing. But if you're going to join independent label like DIY, like Bored to Death, we have a different philosophy behind things. We want to grow with you, and we're going to use what you have, the resources that you have, but also bring in where you're weak, and we're going to do this together.
Yeah, and like how had starting your own record label, Bored to Death, impacted the way that you approach making and releasing music, or has it not much changed?
Having my own label means that I have access to my own studio. I'm here in my mix room. Next to me is my blasting room. And I'm creating a network of other professionals between venue owners, promoters, other artists, other engineers to continue doing what we're doing. And we get to take the time that we want to really produce the best music that we can, not singles. We're producing albums. We believe in every track being banging.
Thank you.
Lame. I love my
Oh, Dan, you were the first. I'm
going
sorry.
so good.
No,
You're
I'm
going
so
so
excited.
good, Dan. I was
You
like
do not
this.
get to speak.
I
You
was
do not get
this.
to speak on this issue. I finally had someone who gets to agree with me after like how many freaking artists have we been talking with, Marissa, who have said we are leaving
If
the
only
traditional
two
route.
people are saying one thing, you might need to relook at it.
Okay. Now, Dan, you just heard what Marissa
I
said.
love the album. I love the EP, and I think you should go into your music with that as your goal and not just some random song. But
Dan,
there's nothing wrong with a little sneak peek single. Okay.
Yeah, Dan,
Little-
bring the energy. Let Marissa know something that she needs to know as the listening and music experience when it comes to a full LP.
Let me delineate here. Usually a good single is a preview to a badass album.
That's right.
That's what it should be. Look at Sam I Am. Sam I Am has been releasing 3 singles, and they collected it as an EP as a precursor to their new album dropping here at end of March. Oh, and I'm excited about it. Yes.
That's how singles should be used. No, really it should. Not just the one hit banger. And then when you put them together, you don't understand where the thought process or mind was behind it. That's called my Spotify playlist, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But that's not an album. But I still want to be teased. I want to be teased.
But to be also fair too, that is one factor, Marissa. But we've also explored other artists who have utilized singles as being something that we only drop every 2 or 3 years. And one of the first bands I could think of who is dominating the Billboard charts consistently is Ronnie Radke with his band Falling in Reverse. He's got the support from Epitaph Records to not drop an album and to only drop 1 or 2 singles every 3 years. I hate it. And I want to know, do you see this as being the new mindset with not just in the rock and roll scene, but all genres of music?
As an artist, I want to write albums. As an artist, I have a lot to say. As an artist, I want to find the support, a label, some sort of deal where I can write an album. But I also recognize that the music industry is changing, and our attention spans with the mass audiences or people who love music may be shortening too. And if you're looking for mass critical success, hate to say, singles might be the way to go because it's a way that you can promote a specific entry in your catalog and put all the promotions behind that.
It's your calling card. Like,
it's a calling card. Sure. I don't adopt to that model because I'm approaching it differently. I want to write albums.
Dad just gives you the whole entire address book, and he's like, "Listen to it."
Well, yeah, I mean, that is a good point. I mean, to play devil's advocate, I know last week, Barry Mia, they were kind of explaining that like we don't like to drop a full album all the way. Or no, excuse me, it was the band Dead All Right.
Yeah.
He was talking about how he felt like when I drop a full length album, being a punk rocker, it just felt like there's so many songs that got missed out that weren't listened to. Is that something you should be concerned about?
If that's your goal. If that's your goal is to get the mass views across a whole album, I'm sorry, you're in for a rude awakening. That's just, it doesn't happen. Look at all of the punk rock bands or any major bands. You look at those albums, look at the views on that. You got 1 or 2 songs that really are the singles, that had some critical success, and the rest of the album drops. That's what happens. And what I'm trying to do is form a connection with the core, the super fan, the one that listens to that album left and from A to Z, that identifies with that sings along to every song of the show. That's the super fan that I want.
That's right, baby. And since we are setting the tone right now, we have put together here on Strike a Chord a lyric video for your opening track that's called Castaways, on your debut EP called Flies, which, by the way, Dan Mitri, badass artwork that you drew up. And we're going to be playing that song right now called Castaways live on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show. Rock and roll. That is Distortions single that is called Castaways, and you can find it on their debut EP, Flies. And Dan, we can't thank you enough for the double whammy show here on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show. And what is your message for fans who can look ahead to the coming months when it comes to Distortions?
We are working on some new material. We're working on a full album that we're going to be very, very proud about. And we've got a lot of shows happening here in the Triangle area. We've got some awesome shows coming up. One specifically on May 4th at the Pinhook. It's Star Wars Pumpkin Drag.
Okay.
I wish I was there for that.
I've got three.
Who would have thought that we would ever hear Star Wars and Pumpkin Drag all in the same sentence?
It meshes beautifully.
Oh, it's a thing. May the 4th. So we're going to celebrate. I've got three beautiful queens coming out doing awesome drag acts between three awesome bands, Distortions, Bonies, and Overgrown Throne.
Hey, man, sounds like quite the jam, my friend. And Dan Mitri, can't thank you enough, as always, for always coming on the Chris Collins Show. And much success to you and all your band members in the future, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks,
Thank you, Marissa.
Absolutely, Dan.